SAIA LTL Freight is one of the largest logistics companies in the nation, shipping all across America. Utilizing their large fleet of over 7,000 trucks, they're able to deliver more than 35,000 shipments per day and still continue to grow and expand. So when SAIA approached Coast to take on assisting with that expansion, we were eager to make that partnership and begin work building them a brand new trucking terminal. In March of 2024, we broke ground in Marysville, Washington. We began the work to turn the empty field that sat there into the brand new facility you see there today. But the process it took to make that happen was a bit more complex than just moving dirt.
Hi, my name is Mike Lindberg. I am a project manager here at Coast. I was in charge of the day-to-day activities here on this project. So as we moved on to this site, our number one goal was to build this building pad first so we can commence with construction. So we're in the process of filling the site, and we're going up to the elevation that was required on the drawings. And we started noticing, as we got too close to the building pad, we started noticing that this is just too high. It was way too high for this particular lot. The grades going in and out of this site was steep. It was you look out over the neighboring rooftops, we're not even at building height.
The elevation challenges Mike is referring to were actually a result of changes made by our Coast team. Each and every project we work on, our teams are very careful to iron out all potential future issues before construction begins. In this case, the elevation of the overall site after we started importing dirt got to be far too high, raising concerns for pulling in trucks at a steep angle. Coast took the initiative and brought these concerns to SAIA representatives' attention, given the plans for the site had already been approved. Grateful that we halted progress to address this concern, SAIA approved our idea of lowering the elevation of the building pad. The thing about civil engineering, however, is that even minor changes in dirt elevation can cause a whole host of other things to change as well. The biggest of these changes, especially in Washington state, is that drainage for rainwater now has to be addressed once again. You see, the site was designed by the architect to drain and hold a certain amount of rainwater. Like most large trucking terminals, this was addressed by adding a retention pond to the land, creating a basin for all the collective water from the site to drain into. However, since the pond was placed on the south end of the site, drainage for the north end was still required. This was solved once again by engineering a drainage system on the north end that would pipe that water underground, flowing out to the retention pond on the south end.
So we went to the engineering group and said, what could we do to correct this? Between Coast team and engineering team, we came up with lowering the site. By lowering the site elevation is greatly going to impact the drainage system of the lot. So without getting into technical things, like this whole property has to drain down to a retaining pond, which means that we only can lower it down so far. So we had to have the engineers check all our numbers to make sure they were correct.
So once the Coast team had determined that the elevation was too high for the site, we ended up lowering it between 3 to 4 feet.
But we already brought it in for the building pad, so all we had to do is push it off the top where we already needed it.
We had to start moving the dirt around, and we had to do it in a pretty quick manner because we were already getting ready to start digging footings for the building. So we ended up using the dozers, the excavator, and the on-site dump trucks to move that dirt pretty quickly, so that way we would meet our schedule as far as starting the building pad.
We're importing the dirt at the building pad first. When we built it up to around 92 feet, we realized it was just too much, so that's where we went to the engineering and had to cut down to 4 feet. Otherwise, water won't drain into the catch basin properly. Catch basins won't drain into the pond properly. We caught it in time that the only time that it really added was basically cutting the pad down. It was just a couple weeks.
I think it ended up adding pretty close to 3 weeks of work. Oh, I feel like it was well worth lowering the site.
It was the delay in the project, but it actually saved the project overall time.
Adding a few weeks of work in the beginning of the project would prove to be worth it in the end. But even after the site was corrected and construction would move forward, the challenges didn't stop at the property line. we were able to smoothly move forward with concrete work and start building the structure.
As we hit the construction phase, the building phase went smooth just because we prepared all of our site work enough in time.
However, around this time, our civil team would move on from finishing the rest of the dirt work on the main site out into the busy State Street to begin tearing it apart.
My name's Zeke Wallace. I'm a lead foreman for Coast. I've worked with Coast for 7 years, and I was in charge of the civil work. So once we were wrapping up the drainage, the next large project was the road work, which was required by the City of Marysville to complete the project.
They required us to do this road to mitigate traffic and add a sidewalk and an extra turn lane to 128th Street just south of us.
Every city across the country has different requirements and needs to be met in order to grant permission for contractors like us to work in a public roadway. In this case, the City of Marysville saw our need to tie the structure's important electrical, water, and sewage lines into existing underground city pipes and seized an opportunity to add a new turn lane to the road adjacent to SAIA's property, thus creating a requirement for us now that would benefit local drivers who use the road in the future, a win for Marysville, a win for SAIA, and a new challenge for us to tackle head-on.
One of the most challenging parts of working in the road was definitely the time restraints. We could only work from 8 to 2.
So the city came back to us about road closures and said we could only shut the road down 8 to 2. So those are their working hours that we had to work with them.
The road work that we had to perform on 128th Street was, we started with ripping out the old sidewalks. That way we could put in new sidewalks, pour new curb and gutter, a new water main, stormwater line, and then we had to rip out half the existing lane. We had to tear out a lot of asphalt.
Well, there's several reasons why we had to block the road off, but between the water line, the city's main water line underneath wasn't sufficient, so we went ahead and replaced that. And the creation of the new lanes and paving, we started shutting the roads down, diverting traffic. We could not shut the road down 100%. We had to leave one lane open the whole time. So we had to work with traffic control to make sure that one lane was open at all times.
And it was also challenging because anytime we worked within 100 feet of an intersection, we would have to have cops flag the intersection.
Because we were working so close to a major intersection, the police had to be out in the street flagging the traffic.
So it was really difficult having everybody there on time every day. And once we were able to work, we had a short period of time to accomplish a lot of work that day.
We were able to work in a busy public road by using traffic control and working with the traffic control to make sure the traffic would flow and our guys would stay safe.
Well, I mean, they deal with traffic control plans. It's a little more than just a person standing out there flagging, you know what I mean? Well, that's what I'm saying. So you would have to have them there on time, and then you have the cops there on time, and they'd have to set up the whole lane closure every day on time so we could be out there at 8 on the dot, because we'd just be waiting, and it's like you'd be starting fresh every day. And you're itching, you're like, 8 o'clock, you're like, we're ready to go, you know? And then you're waiting, and you're like, I gotta do a water tying today and be out on the road by 3.
Working in public roadways is a challenge for every contractor around the world, a challenge drivers of these roadways know all too well. State Street runs the entire length of Marysville all the way until it merges the freeway headed to Seattle, acting as the main road to get around the city. Shutting half of it down no doubt created more traffic and a throttle in that section of the road. A sacrifice of a few months decided by the city to serve the long-term greater good of the area.
After we set the biopods, we were able to pour the curb back in.
Once we had finished all the utilities out on the roadway, as far as rebuilding the road, we had to regrade, repave,
Add the necessary gravel to add the turn lane and put the asphalt back.
as far as finishing up the road work too, we had to re-pour some sidewalks and add some planters and get all that done before the landscaper could come.
Once the road was put back together, we added the sidewalk and the landscaping along that side.
Then we had to finish the landscaping to pretty everything up.
The landscaping was actually part of the requirement of SAIA and the street improvements the city required.
We definitely added sidewalk down that whole road so people can walk down that road safely now. I mean, they got the striper out there, and we added a turn lane at the light.
They required us to do this road to mitigate traffic and add pedestrian walkways.
With the road rebuilt, utilities upgraded, and traffic flowing even better than before, the last major challenge was finally behind us. There were still many months of final site work, including pouring all the concrete pads around the site for trailer parking once SAIA moved in and began operating, as well as all of the asphalt work required to fill the remaining exposed gravel and give SAIA trucks a strong, reliable surface to get around the facility on. What started as a grass lot with a small single-lane side road has now become a finished facility and another high-quality project completed by Coast, ready to do what it was built for. After a final stretch of general punch list items and finishing work, all that was left to do was to step back and look at the result of overcoming these challenges and present our finished work.
Behind me is the entrance. Let's go take a look at the finished product. As we come into the open office area, plenty of cubicles. Leads directly into their dispatch room where the truckers are taking their orders. Down this way there is 4 offices, the end one being for the terminal managers. This is a roaming office for anybody who's roaming can work remotely. This here is the terminal managers. He has a window out to his dock floor. Another roaming office that's open to dispatch. This room here is for sales. This is where they take orders for the new deliveries. Hallway kitchen for the office staff. A training facility for the employees. A door to the IT room. A printing area that's attached to the office bathrooms. This is the break room for the drivers and dock personnel, with the 2 doors heading to the bathrooms and lockers. This is where the drivers check in at, attached to the dispatch room. And then the 51-door dock. Moving outside here, we got concrete pads here and outside where they have the trailer parking. The whole thing is asphalt in between. At the very far end is the tractor parking. Moving around the building, we have the same thing going on. 51 doors at dock height where they can back up their trailers. And here's the pond where all the site drainage drains to. Here's the final results of the initial elevation changes. Much more gradual entrances and much easier for trucks to pull in.
Looking back on the SAIA project, it went really smooth. We did come across some difficulties, and the Coast team handled those very quick and got those resolved, which made the civil work go a lot smoother.
The overall build went great. The team really overcame the little obstacles of scheduling and weather delays without any problems. And the overall project turned out great.
If I were to go to SAIA today and look at everything that was accomplished, I mean, I would see all the civil work that was done. You know, it started from the bottom up. You know, we started with down in a hole and we built our way out to getting a building standing, to, you know, the asphalt, the concrete parking lot, all the way to the landscape. I mean, it went from nothing to a finished product. And as far as 128th went, we added sidewalk down that whole road so people can walk down that road safely now, and we added a turn lane at the light so the traffic doesn't get backed up anymore. I mean, overall, I think it went really well.